things nerdy. Dungeons and Dragons, this world's not blurry. From comics to movies, he's got it all. He's an outpost nerd living in a geeky world with his lightsaber shining. He's a Star Wars swerve. Through galaxies and adventures, he'll take you there, take you there. He's an outpost nerd, no one can compare. Nerd power, yeah, he's the king of nerds, catching that flare.
Welcome, my nerd geeks and dweebs, to another transmission from the Outpost Nerd. I am the nerd of the Outpost, and it is officially summer vacation where I am at. Yesterday was the last day of school for the kids. My niece is home for the summer. She is out of school, got gymnastics. We'll have a fun summer today. 1 second. Today we are going to be talking about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey coming out July 17th and how many are not happy with the casting, including citizens of Greece themselves, which I will be reading an article and sharing with you their concerns from the Greek City Times. So let's get on into it. As Camelot would say, don't get it. Let's get on in it. So let me share, or however he says it, I don't know. That's not what I want. Share screen. Share screen. Share. Sharing is caring. From the Greek City Times, a letter to Hollywood and Nolan's Odyssey cast from us Greeks. Greece has always been one country I want to go to. It's on my bucket list. I want to see the Parthenon, see Delphi. One of my favorite movies was My Life in Ruins. Had a great cast. Nina Valdaro, who did My Big Fat Greek Wedding, those 3 movies, did another Greek-themed movie. And it had a great cast in it. It had Richard Dreyfuss, Rachel Dratch, Harlan Williams, Rita Wilson, who actually produced it. She's good friends with them. A whole slew of just great Greek American and American actors. But the difference between this movie, The Odyssey, and movies like that, it actually had Greeks in it. This movie has not a single Greek person in it. And that's one thing that will, in this article, they'll hit on. So let's get on into the article. Shall we? See, to the cast and creative team of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, we write to you as Greeks, not as fragments of antiquity, not as echoes from museum displays, and not as characters sealed in marble, but as living people whose story has never stopped being written. First, we wish you well. That's a good way to start it out. Cinema has always carried the power to reimagine ancient texts, to cross borders of languages and time, and to reintroduce old stories to new generations. Homer's Odyssey belongs in many ways to the shared cultural imagination of humanity. We understand the ambition behind bringing it to the screen on a global scale, and we recognize the artistic tradition of reinterpretation that has surrounded these epics for centuries. But we also ask you to consider something that's often looked in modern retellings of Greek stories. First, advertising. Greek people, or we did not vanish. Greek people did not disappear after the age of myth. Greek culture was not frozen in classical marble. Greek language was not extinguished in antiquity. We are still here. And that's what there's a difference between mythology and history. Both have basis in the other, but a lot of people think when we say Greeks, we don't think of modern Greeks. We think of ancient toga wearing Spartans fighting wars, or Athenians, or the ancient gods. That's what a lot of people think of as Greeks, and they're far from that. Far from that. For more than 3,000 continuous years, Greek identity has persisted through transformation rather than disappearance. From the Macedonian world that gave rise to the Homeric epics, through the classical city-states of Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes, into the Hellenistic periods that spread Greek language and thought throughout the Mediterranean under Alexander's successors, through the Roman and Byzantine era, where Greek remained a dominant language of administration, philosophy, and theology, into the Ottoman centuries, where identity was preserved through language, faith, and community, and familiar into the modern Greek state that emerged through a revolution and continues today within Europe and the wider world. Even in biblical times, the people spoke Greek. They spoke in the Bible, they spoke Hebrew, Aramaic, interchangeable. They spoke Greek and Latin. It's not something that just stopped. There are many ancient civilizations that the language is lost. If I'm not mistaken, with ancient Greek, due to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, we could read, or ancient Egyptian, due to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, we can read it, but we don't really know how ancient Egyptians spoke. We don't know the sound of it. You got to remember, ancient Greeks were around the same time as the ancient Egyptians. It's not, when you say ancient Greek, from a cosmic standpoint, you're not talking about that long ago. 3,000 years is not very long in the grand scope of history. I heard someone say that if the entire universe was put on a clock, human history would start at 11:59 p.m. That's how short we've been in existence. At every stage, something essential remained unbroken: language, memory, and cultural continuity. Greek is still spoken today, the oldest continuously survival language in Europe, not constructed, not revived, but lived. As I just said, so this confirms this is the longest continually spoken language in Europe, if not the world. That continuity matters when stories like the Odyssey are retold. Odysseus is not only a universal symbol of endurance, struggle, and homecoming, he is also part of a cultural inheritance that has been carried through every one of those historical layers. Retold by Byzantine scholars, preserved in manuscript, copied through the medieval world, studied during the Renaissance, and still taught, spoken, and reinterpreted in Greece today. My freshman year of high school, we read the Odyssey. We watched the miniseries that was on it. I remember just being amazed by the story of Odysseus. He's the one of the few, if not the only, Greek hero that gets a happy ending. One, he is not a demigod. Most, if not all, other Greek heroes are demigods, to show that you had to do things with the gods' help. you had all the other like Heracles. It's Hercules in Rome. It's Heracles in Greek. Uh, Perseus. All these other great heroes. They had this divine spark within them. Odysseus did not. He had his brains. Odysseus was smart. That's why he was favored by Athena in the story. Of course, that intelligence gave way to arrogance when he just decided to not thank Poseidon for sending the serpent to kill the prophet that was about to um, reveal the soldiers in the Trojan horse. And when there's this great scene in the miniseries that when Troy fell, Odysseus is standing at the water. He says, "I did this without the gods' help. It was all me." And you see Poseidon in the curse him from the waves and saying, "You did this with the gods." And his 10-year journey, because he was gone 20 years from Penelope and his son and Telemachus. He was gone for 20 years, 10 years fighting the war, and another 10 years trying to get back to Ithaca. That's one island I want to go to is Ithaca. Just I want to go somewhere and feel that historical significance. When I was in high school, in middle school, a lot of our band trips were to like New England. I remember going to Williamsburg, which I actually have a few friends who work at Colonial Williamsburg as players. We went to Jamestown, Yorktown. I want to go back because sadly I got sick on the trip and didn't really participate as much as I should have. But it's just that idea of knowing you're standing where history was made. And it seems like Hollywood now, the BBC, all these big productions, they're all wanting to rewrite history. They're wanting to take credit from one group in history and change it to make it to where it's praising another. That's not, you can't rewrite history. It's just that when you rewrite history, let me see something. Rewriting history is a way of control. And that's why there are so many powers who are so interested in getting into the schools. Control the schools, you control the future, and you control the past. We are not asking for exclusion or limitation. We are not arguing against diversity nor against reinterpretation. Greek culture itself has always been shaped by exchange, migration, and encounter across centuries. What we are asking is something more simpler and more human. That when Greek stories are retold on the global stage, Greek people are not rendered invisible within them. Let me see. Looking for something. Had something. Bringing something up. Bringing something up. Bringing something up. Bringing something up. Nope, that's not what I want. Now, it's a on it's actually a great cast. It really is, for the most part. This is let me go here. Got Matt Damon, who's a great actor. Emily Wilson, who I enjoyed. Um, who I enjoyed her translation, but it's I think the only reason they're using Emily Wilson's translation is because she is the first woman, which is great, but she's the first American woman. She's not the first woman to translate the Odyssey. Tom Holland is Telemachus. Anne Hathaway is Penelope, which I'm not. Robert Pattinson as Antaeus, one of Penelope's suitors, and Lupita Nyong'o, I think I'm saying that, Nyong'o, as Helen of Troy. Helen is supposed to be a woman whose beauty started the war. And I'm sorry, but that just doesn't fit. Continuing here. In recent years, the film industry has rightly placed emphasis on representation, ensuring that cultures are acknowledged, voices are included, and lived experience is not erased in the process of storytelling. Lived experience, shared experience. It's shared experience. Some of these cultures never mixed in history, but we have representation of these older cultures represented in other culture stories. And I'm sorry, there's only one group that's being represented in other stories, and we see that with the actress who played Helen of Troy's. Indigenous stories increasingly involve indigenous voices. Cultural constellation is becoming more standard practice. Identity is treated as a part of artistic responsibility. And unless the role specifically calls for a specific role, that shouldn't be a problem. If a role, like, I'm sorry, Rachel Ziegler's Snow White didn't fit because Snow White was called Snow White because her skin was white as the snow. And that was a sign of nobility. The paler your skin in medieval times, the less you were outside, the less work you did, the more noble you were. It was a sign of nobility. We ask only that this awareness extend to Greek heritage as well. They're wanting to exclude certain people. Either you represent everyone or you don't. When you represent only not because Greek identity is fragile, but because it is continuous. In discussions around the Odyssey, some have argued that mythology belongs to the world and should not be bound by cultural origin. Others see casting diversity as a reflection on the modern global audience rather than historical specificity. We understand those perspectives, but universality does not require disconnection from origin. A story can belong to humanity while still recognizing the people and language from which it emerged. We say that not in anger, but in recognition. Because too often Greek history is treated as something that ended rather than something that continued, as if Greece exists only in a classical past rather than through Byzantine continuity, through Ottoman endurance, through revolutionary rebirth, and into the present day, in cities, villages, islands, and diaspora communities around the world. So you could step into Homer's world, into seas, wandering gods, and returning kings. We ask that you carry this awareness with you. That Greece is not only a setting in antiquity, it is a living country. Greek people are not historical figures. We are contemporaries. And when future opportunities arise to tell stories from any period of Greek history, ancient, medieval, or modern, we hope you will remember that Greek heritage is not absent from those stories. It is a living, present, and still speaking for itself. We wish you success with the film and respect the craft that brings such an epic to life, and we hope it contributes to cinema that count that continues to expand imagination without erasing origins. We did not vanish. We are still here. Through Mycenaean echoes, through classical philosophy, through Hellenistic expansion, through Byzantine continuity, through Ottoman endurance, through our modern nationhood, we remain, always have been. This idea that you have to erase origins to tell us modern story is just beyond stupid, in my opinion. You need to show the historical significance of someone. Not a single actor in this film is of Greek descendancy. It boggles my mind that you could take such one of the bedrock foundations of Western literature, Western society almost. What the Western society developed in Greece, was born in Greece, and spread throughout the West. It has been something we have, when the founding fathers were designing America and our American government, they looked to the ancient Greek philosophers for inspiration. They looked through the Bible. They looked through all these great minds. But one place they looked at was the Greek philosophers. And people have been wondering, who is Elliot Page going to play? Some thought Achilles, which did not sit. I never sat well with that, because this isn't the Iliad. And this is what's confusing me. It feels like people are confusing the Odyssey with the Iliad. But from what I understand, from what I looked, and this is on Reddit, so I'm not sure, not 100% sure, who this might be, who Elliot Page is playing. Come on, man. Elliot Page plays Elpenor in the Odyssey. Elpenor is the youngest member of Odysseus' crew, who dies an insignificant death on Circe's island after falling off a roof while drunk and left unburied. Odysseus feels unbothered by his death as he wants to get home. When Odysseus reaches Hades, the underworld, Elpenor is the first person he sees in the underworld coming out of the ground. This is emotionally most significant to Odysseus, as it comes as a moral and personal shock to Odysseus, as his crew is more important to him than his own glory, fighting monsters and gods. It shocks Odysseus because Elpenor begs him not to leave him unburied on Circe's island. At the end of Hades, he goes back and burns the shipmate he thought as important. Buries the shipmate he thought of as important. So the character may be insignificant story-wise, but it's for character development of Odysseus. It snaps him out of this idea that he's the only one that matters, that he's the only one that is being kept from his home. and that his men are loyal. And it was his decision to go to Circe's island. I mean, so Elpenor's death is on Odysseus's hand, and he just completely disregards it. And it took being confronted by Elpenor's spirit for him to realize that these are still men under my command. I'm still their king. I'm still their leader. I need to really step it up. Boom, 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 boom. I've also been asked. Let me do something real quick. Hold on a second. Just a second. Let's see. I've been asked to review the trailer, so let me find a good one to bring that up. But I just remember I've always been fascinated by Greek mythology. I remember watching Hercules' legendary journey, knowing that wasn't it was serialized. It was very it wasn't the real story of Hercules, so that got me interested in going and looking at the real stories. Hold on a second. Okay, I got it. Oh, okay. I've only been doing this for about 3 years. Nerd, what are you doing? Share screen. Wait, let me check. Just a second. All right, so here we go. Share screen. Let's go. That's the one I want. So let's see. Of course, Universal. So we're starting. Looks like we're starting in the aftermath of the Trojan War. We see all the men lost in their grave sites. I love this. The armor looks a little weird. I don't like that blue armor. I think that looks almost plastic. Let's see. Who is this? This has got to be Odysseus.
After years of war,
Odysseus. One thing I do like, I like how the officers they have the plumes. That's the thing that a lot of. Oh, 1 second. a lot of people don't realize that many Greek soldiers had plumes, but the kings had plumes going from left to right. Uh, and if you watch 300, you'll see Odysseus is the only one with a plume on his helmet, while the others don't. But in my studies of Sparta and all that documentaries I've seen, they've said that the king or officers had plumes going from left to right. Everyone had a plume going front to back. Matt Damon looks pretty good. The armor in this shot looks a little better.
No one could stand between my men.
There's Troy, I'm guessing. No, that's Ithaca, Telemachus, and Penelope. Anne Hathaway looks very pretty, actually, as Penelope.
Not even me.
Not sure about those. I don't know what kind of ship. There were Greek ships that had almost like battering rams, because in Greek naval war, your job was to basically ram each other and then jump on each other's ship, and that's how you fought. Because this was before cannons, this was before gunpowder in Europe. So it's basically like, I'm going to tangle up into your ship and jump across and hack you up. Ooh. Caught a sword right to the shoulder. Ooh, that had that smart. That had the sting. This has got to be the Cyclops Slayer. Come on. Yep. Polyphemus. This has got to be Polyphemus's lair. Ooh, I like that. That looks cool. Okay. That's Hades. See, he looks actually pretty good as Odysseus. I'm just. That ship looks out of the ship.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
I'm wondering how much of the coming up at this. I'm wondering how much of the Iliad are they going to go into? A lot of the Odyssey starts before the Trojan Wars, when the other kings of Greece basically come and get Odysseus and the armies of Ithaca, and they go off to war over Helen. Ugh, I don't get it. But it seems like they're going a little more into the Iliad in this. So I think that's when we're going to go see the kind of characters that a lot of people aren't happy with. So like let me see. Who's like John Leguizamo's in the movie? Who's he playing? Let's see. Bring up the cast list again. And you meant he is. Oh, okay. If I remember, let me see something. Yes, he was the goat herder that was left on Ithaca that helped raise Telemachus. I remember that character now. So yeah, he's the one that when Telemachus returns from his voyage to Pylos and Sparta, tells Telemachus that Odysseus is here. Odysseus says, finally, there's a great scene in the miniseries that they welcome each other at his hut, and Odysseus is hiding in the hut, listening, and Odysseus says, "No, I cannot stay. I have to go greet my mother." And you hear you hear Odysseus, just in a booming voice, calls out Telemachus, and Telemachus realizes who it is. Doesn't believe him at first and draws his sword, but then just falls into his father's arms after 20 years. And great scene, great miniseries. I never fully judge or never try to fully judge until I watch a movie. I watched Mandalorian Grogu. I will be talking about that within the coming days. Waiting to see Masters of the Universe, which is the other one I'm currently wanting to talk about. Some updates on Supergirl. Supposedly, the box office predictions of Supergirl looks to be abysmal, so I'll be talking about that soon. Probably either all in a show or in another show. I'm working on some things, some T-shirts that I'd like to sell. Trying to figure out some designs on that. Let's see. I'll share the two I have right now that I'm working on. I'm trying to improve a little bit. They're a little bland at the moment. Let's see. Here's one. Where's the other? I had another somewhere. I can't find it. I had two. Where are you? I'm so lonely. Did I delete that? No. I know where I can find it. I know. Vicky, I just saw your Discord message. Matt Damon. Yes, that's from Team America. Yeah. Let's see. Come on. So, okay, here's the first one that I want to see about having made and try to sell, bring some money into the outpost. Let's see. Like I said, with my saying, fight your passion and nerd out about it, and nerd out. It's a little plain. I'm trying to think. I want my YouTube logo in it somehow, so I'm trying to think how I can incorporate that. And for this one, I really like this one. I'm just a natural with a natural 20 on 20-sided dice. This one I'm thinking might be done. I like the holographic puck, with the flaming D20. Looking for other things, maybe a hat design. So I'm trying to grow the channel. trying to figure out just ways to improve it. It's just with things right now, my IRL stuff is really kicking my butt. I have to figure out the medicine. The medicine they had me on really messed me up. So I'm trying to figure out what to do next about that. I'm trying to get up with people that I need to talk to get back to see the doctor. I've been putting out job applications, just feeling things out, putting some feelers out there, trying to find something that I can do, and not. I have a bad knee, and I know that keeps me from doing a lot of like getting out there in construction. I had 3 knee surgeries, I've said before, by the time I was 25. So it's very, very limiting. And right now, it's the rainy season down here in Florida. And I feel it's one of those kind of injuries that you feel when it rains. So I'm trying to figure out something to do that I can do. I've been looking for office work. I went to the bunch of different offices, law, medical, insurance, and I call back and I just never get a response. I was flat out told no, I didn't have the experience at a job this past Tuesday, and I looked at the lady and said, isn't that what training's for? No one wants to train, especially around here. We're a tourist town, and right now we're between seasons, so a lot of the service industry is drawn down. So it's just slow here, and that really that my depression flares up when I do that, which makes me not want to stream. It's just this whole like snowball effect, and it makes it hard, and it discourages me knowing it feels like a lot of times I support a lot of people in the YouTube sphere that are very good friends of mine, people I absolutely love, some people I tolerate. Kidding. I'm just kidding. People I like and respect. And yet I do disagree with them. I just don't feel that I'm getting the I feel like there's one or two people that really give me the support. Well, there's a couple. There's more than one or two, about 3 or 4, I'd say, that support me on a regular basis, I should say. I think that YouTubers should be building ourselves up. We've seen so much division in the past few months. So many groups falling apart. So many streamers having the bottom just fall out from under them. But yet so many people cheer when they fail. I don't cheer when people fail. I do believe in karma. So I believe that you have to put out the same energy into the universe that you want. If you put out good, God will send good back to you. And I try to do what I can. I cannot give people money. I'm barely scraping by. So I can't donate. I can't send super chats, but I can give views and watch hours, which I try to do. There are many times where I'll have a stream from friends in the background. Sometimes muted, sometimes I'll be listening to it, playing a game. I want to put that out, not to make them feel wanted and supported, but where's my piece of that pie? I guess you could say. Now, success is not a limited commodity. It's like, oh, if this person is more successful than me, there's less success for me. That's not how it works. And I really hate that we see people who think that way. And I just want to to be heard. I want to learn. I want to listen. I'm not the best listener, but I try, and I try to realize. I try to when I realize I'm not listening to people when I'm interrupting. I try to pull back and let them speak. And I think people just want to be heard. They want a sense of accomplishment. They want a sense of community. And that is what I want to try to do with this channel. I'm on shows with a lot of guys. One of my friends on here, Q2 Cast TV, we talk about different topics every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central. Check it out, Q2 Cast TV. He is a guy who has such an experience in the industry. He used to work with VHS tapes. And he's like an encyclopedic knowledge of old movies that some I don't even know. And I know a lot of movies. Or my friend Sci-Fi Snob, who we do every week. He does, him and his co-host Cam every week does a Babylon 5 retrospective. Next week they are doing season 4 episode 2 of Babylon 5. And him and they're on every weekend. They talk about all sorts of stuff. They talk about movies, TV shows. Let me bring up the links. Here's Snob's links. Snob's link. My friend Q2Cast. Here's his link. Okay, I need his link. They all talk about some amazing stuff. They're amazing guys. They're really knowledgeable, really fun to talk to, and they're on all the time. There's Jason, Sci-Fi for Me TV. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Dang ads. Sci-Fi for Me TV, they talk about my dude Jason. He talks about pretty much stuff like that with me, but he's got a lot of connection. He does a lot of great interviews. One of my favorite interviews I've watched was a one where he had the great Tom Kane, who recently passed away, Yoda himself on an interview at a convention. It was a great interview. They all do great stuff, and I want them to know that I support them, and I hope they support me in return. We all can grow together. We all can share our different views. Like Odysseus said in the miniseries, when asked by one of the suitors what their crime was that they were being executed for, he said, "You are guilty of trying to steal my world. Each person is a world unto themselves. Your experiences, which you shape your world. And the best way to grow and learn is listening to the experiences of others, to show support for them." So, speaking of support, before we go, I'd like to thank those who have monetarily supported the Outpost already. Squad Bob Divinity said cake or death, and Bertrand 850. Thank you for showing some love. If you'd like to be added to the list, and I'm thinking maybe if you support the Outpost, getting a discount on future merchandise, whenever I come up with the ideas for that, send some love. Go to buymecoffees.com/outpostnerd and show some love, because we all need to show love for each other. That's what I know that sounds corny, but what the world needs now is love, man. Peace and love, man. But we shouldn't be afraid to stand up and share what we believe, no matter what. You could disagree with me 100%. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's okay. I will agree. You have the right to disagree with me. I have a right to disagree with you back and stand up for my ideas. That's one thing I'm finding people don't like, is when you stand up for your own ideals. They get arguing. I get called argumentative. I get called hard-headed. I get called disagreeable. No, I've listened to your views. It's your turn to listen to mine. It's called discussions. And for some reason nowadays, we get this idea that when you disagree, it's personal attacks. It's this idea that you can't, if you agree with me 99%, but you disagree with me on 1%, you're physically attacking me. Where did that idea of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me go? When did words and disagreements become violence? We need to be able to find our passions and nerd out about them. I'm the nerd of the Outpost. Love y'all. I'm gone.
Lost in space, I found my place. In this house of solitude, my way. Binary code run through my veins. With every beat and deep, I feel no pain. Signing off, it's time to go. Goodbye, my nerdy friends, see you later. I know through the stars we've shared this ride, but now it's time to say goodbye, farewell.